Korean bathrooms, they're free, but you might need to bring your own toilet paper. You gotta like, oh man, no toilet paper? Yeah. I gotta like sneak in the girls' bathroom.
Like we've seen movies and people like walk in with like bleeding arms. They're like, I need to get my services. Sorry, you have to wait in line.
Right. Why do foreigners always hang out at the CU? Buying fruits. So much more expensive in Korea. Bro, I saw a watermelon for 50 bucks the other day, man.
It tastes good.
Hello and welcome to S Korea 360, episode 3, where we talk about everything Korea. My name is Ade.
Yo, this is David.
So, this is your #1 source for everything Korea. On today's show, the Waygook Post of the Week. What's got expats buzzing in Korea? What is something that Korea does that your home country just can't? Stay tuned as we talk about that. But first, let's go to the trending news in Korea that impacts you. David.
All right, so let's start with our first story. Seoul is going to launch what they call a climate card, which is an unlimited transit pass starting next year. So what is a climate card? Well, they called it this climate card to promote eco-friendly travel and to ease the living costs. It'll cost 65,000 won a month, so it's a monthly pass to cover subway lines, buses, and even public bikes in the city. Also available for a new water bus service. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool.
It does.
The initiative is expected to cut 32,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions annually and save citizens significant transport costs. Interesting.
Right.
So do you think this unlimited transportation monthly pass could help out the foreigners living in Seoul to move around more better, or maybe cut taxi costs?
Sure, I think with taxi prices increasing, I think with everything increasing, this is an excellent step in the right direction. Other countries, not cities in Korea, but other countries do have monthly passes, where you can have a monthly pass and then hop on the train or bus and go anywhere. So it's nothing new per se.
But like the subways here, isn't it just a monthly pass just for the subways? You can't transfer to
the buses, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I think this one includes everything.
Right, this one in Seoul includes everything.
Right, so I think it's definitely a good step in the right direction. This is also good for foreigners or people who have multiple jobs. Because if you have multiple jobs, you're usually traveling to multiple places in the same day. And you gotta tap that card a lot.
Right.
And it adds up at the end of the month.
Right.
Right, so I think it's definitely the right step in the right direction.
So like people I know, like people who drive, maybe thinking of getting a car in Seoul and drive around, you know, I'm probably not gonna use public transportation, and you know, maybe I'll just buy an electric car to drive around, save the greenhouse gas energy and whatnot. But I heard from most recent stories from my Korean friends living in Seoul, it's jam-packed in Seoul, even during the daytime. So like, you might consider not buying a car and driving around in Seoul. And you know, rush hour, weekends, it's just too hectic. There's too many cars, too many people. You might as well just use public transportation.
Yo, man.
Like Busan, you know, it gets packed, but I can drive around fine.
Right.
I mean,
rush hour is ridiculous for sure, but
rush hour
daytime,
anywhere, right? Daytime, you know, morning time. But I heard even morning times, daytime in Seoul, it's pretty nuts.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to our next story.
Sure.
Second story, single-use plastics to be banned at Han River parks. Ooh, so Han River Park. Seoul bans to single-use plastic cups, containers in Han River parks by 2025 to tackle plastic waste and boost recycling rates. Food trucks have already shifted to multi-use containers and deposit system for disposable cups that will be introduced. And this move aims to reduce plastic waste by 10%, raise the recycling rate from 69% to 79% by 2026. So I guess better use of recycling things in the Han River.
I'll say this. I protect the earth, reduce plastic, but do not give me those paper straws. Those paper straws that when you use them and after 5 minutes you're just like just spitting out. I don't want to do that.
I have something against paper straws.
Right. Yeah, I don't like them. Right.
You know that the whole turtle picture with the plastic straw in it? This is all media's fault, to be honest. I've talked to experts before, like
Tell them how you feel, David.
7 years ago, whenever this happened, this
Right.
whole trend happened. I talked to experts who are working in the microplastic department and stuff. Plastics weigh a lot less than paper. And when you choose to opt for a paper straw, you're using, back then they didn't have electric trucks. I don't know if they use electric trucks, like those giant trucks, the wheels the size of a house.
I see.
You know, those trucks that move all the stuff. They're using gas to move heavier stuff over, which is paper stuff, like wood and stuff, lumber, right? They're pumping out a lot of GHG, greenhouse gas emissions. So you're trying to save the marine animals from suffering from plastic straws in the sea while you're killing the birds.
You just put in the pollution somewhere else.
Exactly. So what's the right move here, you know?
Right.
They never considered that, but because of the media saying plastic is bad, they just immediately switched over to paper straws.
Interesting.
Which taste disgusting.
Yo, like,
And
don't give me a
it gets
paper
all
straw.
moldy and squishy and
Like, have you used a paper straw?
Yeah.
And then it just starts
disintegrating in your mouth.
disintegrating in your yeah. Like, come on, man.
yeah, no
I'm past that. Let's move on.
All right, so third story, sex discrimination. It is still a widespread issue in South Korean workplaces according to a survey. Now, I found that sex discrimination against South Korean women have, the study shows that 55% of women face inappropriate comments, according to MBrain Public, 4 times more than men. Low-income female workers and those taking maternity leave are especially targeted. The data adds to South Korea's already troubling gender pay gap issue, the largest among OECD countries.
Okay.
So I have a question for you. Do you think can the culture change, or is this deeply ingrained in South Korean society?
I think this situation with the whole sex discrimination, Korea's economy developed so quickly. And the culture, if you want to debate it's good or not, did not actually get modernized with it. So they're still holding on to older traditions.
It's just only natural.
Right, if it's positive or negative, it can be debated, it's just a fact, right? So it is going to happen. I can recall when I first came to Korea, I worked through the EPIC program, which was a government-funded, you work at the public schools in Korea. And one of my friends, she was a woman, and she wanted to resign. But before she resigned, she got pregnant. And she told...
Resign or resign?
Resign. She wanted to resign her contract.
Right,
Sorry, let me
okay.
make it clear. She wanted to resign her contract.
Okay.
And she told her homeroom teacher, because she went back home for like a week or whatever, guess she got pregnant, came back to Korea, told her homeroom teacher, and her teacher said, yeah, like, we can't resign you because you're pregnant, right? And then she's like, no, but it's okay. And she's like, nah. And they didn't end up resigning her because of that. And I hear all the time, even in job interviews, they'll ask if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or if you're planning to have a baby because they don't want to compensate for that time off, right? Where in other countries, they don't ask. But in Korea, it's still a bit more traditional, so they ask those questions. Like it or not, it's just a fact.
Right, and if you want this to change, it's gonna take years. There's generations to go over, like,
Literally, right.
Yeah, you have this generation with an older traditional mindset. They gotta die. The newer generation
pass on, right? Gracefully pass on.
With a newer mindset will take over that, and then the culture will change. So it'll take at least 50 years, I think, for this whole culture to change.
Right, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next story. Hanwha, it's a company. They're to stage the largest ever international fireworks festival on October the 7th. So this group, Hanwha Group, is hosting its most ambitious Seoul International Fireworks Festival at Hangang Park in October the 7th. Expected to attract 1 million viewers, and the festival will feature teams from Korea, China, Poland, with Poland participating for the first time. And this company will also debut its new hurricane fireworks and offer a dedicated safety app. I wonder what kind of app that is. Does it like...
I think they're doing the dedicated safety app because of what happened last year with crowds, especially in Itaewon and whatnot. So I think they're trying to be safe as they should be.
Right. I'm just wondering how this app's gonna help you.
Right, same here. Right.
Like, is it gonna call down an umbrella to save you from the rain? I don't know.
Okay.
Anywho, let's talk about this a little bit. Have you been to a fireworks festival in Korea?
Yes, I've been to the Busan Fireworks Festival. Amazing show. Like Busan Fireworks Festival over the Gwangan Bridge on the beach is amazing.
Do you know that show was done by Hanwha?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I did the MC thing there.
Right.
And so they are usually at the center of big fireworks festivals.
Right.
And so hopefully they can do it also in Busan. So it's usually at the end of October or beginning of November. Yeah, usually.
No, the Busan Fireworks Festival is fantastic. It's beautiful. However, the amount of people that attend. So I live near the beach in Gwangan, and this is the only weekend where I try not to go actually outside. Like I try to buy all my groceries before. I try to go to the gym really, really early in the morning. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my house for the entire day. Because even one day I got caught, I had to take the train. It was like 2 p.m. It's packed.
Yeah. So like for expats or foreigners living outside of Busan and you're coming to see the
early
Busan Fireworks Festival, maybe like the weekend before, meet a new expat friend in Busan. Ask them if you can come over to their house or know of any rooftop buildings.
That's the truth.
Because that's where all the Busan people go. They go to the apartment rooftops and watch the fireworks from there because it's a much better view than, to be honest, at the beach when there's like, thousands in front of you.
Hundreds of thousands, literally.
Yeah.
Also a cool tip for anyone listening, the mountains.
Oh, that's nice. But they're also populated too.
I know. But the mountain gives you a very
amazing
good view.
view. Yes. All right, let's move on to our next story. So this incident, it's been a growing problem among young Koreans. In Korean, you call it 묻지마 사건.
Okay.
But I guess a random stabbing attack.
Okay.
Right, random attacks. So South Korea has been grappling with a spate of random violent crimes committed by what the society kind of labels them as reclusive loners. And experts note that these individuals are often detached from society, possibly due to unemployment, maybe bullying, maybe from bad parenting. I don't know, whatever family issues. The government is responding with heightened security measures, but has yet to address the root cause of these crimes, including social isolation and economic challenges faced by young people. So the rise in crimes by what the society calls them as loners, do you think it's a sign that the mental health care is failing in Korea?
I think it is a multifaceted issue.
Yeah.
Definitely mental health in Korea is an issue because I don't want to say they don't take it as seriously, but they don't. It's just simple. They don't take mental health as serious as other countries do.
For sure, I noticed that.
But I will say this. I think it has a lot to do with smartphone addiction. I don't know about other countries because I lived in Korea for so long, but people are literally walking on their cell phones. Like they're walking and looking at their cell phones. I see students at lunchtime sit by themselves eating ramen like this, looking at their cell phones. And what it does is it connects you to the whole world, the smartphone, so you don't have to connect in real life.
For sure.
Right? Like we all know this is true. But it's super intense here. Like everybody, people feel anxiety when they can't even physically see their cell phone. They feel anxiety.
You know, what I've been saying this over and over again is, you've mentioned it as well, but South Korea has been developing so fast economically. Their culture and traditions have not caught up to the point yet. Meaning, with this particular example, I remember in Canada, if you were feeling depressed, if you were feeling suicidal, you have a hotline to call. That's been, promoted and advertised throughout high schools. I don't think that's ever really mentioned in schools in Korea. I don't know, maybe I just don't know what the hotline is. But no, when I ask the Koreans here, we have these services back in Canada when smartphone wasn't around. People were depressed, they would, call the hotlines to get some support. And maybe the support will get the school teachers to let them know that one of your student is, having a problem and they can get some consultations and stuff. But Korean people, the friends I talked to, they never heard of such a thing. So with that not in place, they just switched right over with the introduction of smartphones. They have no way to, there's no alternative way to solve the smartphone addictions and the isolation problems that they're facing. I just feel like Korea is always kind of jumping in terms of technology, economic boom, and there's no like, I don't know how to say, there's no,
Soft landing.
yeah, there's no soft landing to a lot of these problems.
And I'll say this, it's a hurricane for disaster or tornado for disaster. It's the right mix because Koreans are already kind of naturally introverted and shy.
Oh, that's true.
And then they have their cell phone that's gonna make them more introverted and shy. And then they just stick to it, right? And I'll say this, anybody who has a love for their smartphone, I have a love for my smartphone too.
For sure.
But I have never used my smartphone, came off of my smartphone and felt better. That has never happened to me, like where I felt better after using my smartphone. I usually feel better after hanging out with my friends, hanging out with you, going to the gym, going for a walk on the beach. So I just want to recommend to anybody who's listening, give the phone a break. Go for a walk.
For sure.
Right. Let's get the second question.
So then, you know, we have this loner sign happening. We see it as a growing problem then. Do you think the government is doing enough to stop these loner crimes?
I'll say this, they have tried. They have tried. In April, I remember reading a CNN report. The government gave people, I think in Seoul, from ages 9, as low as 9, ages 9 to 24, 650,000 won to, as a welfare program to lower income people to try new activities. And this was specifically for them to get them reintroduced to society because they've been reclused for so long.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say they haven't been trying, they have been trying. However, culture takes so long to change.
Yeah.
It takes so long to change. Everyone knows being on your smartphone for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day is not healthy. But when that's the culture, it takes so long to change. So I hope they do more things like this and get the awareness out. I hope they do more things like leave your cell phone at home day or something like that. I don't know, whatever they can.
Like a cell phone detox program.
Cell phone, no, really.
Yeah. Like I used to work at a campsite. They had no reception there. They had no cell phone reception. So even if you brought, back then we didn't have smartphones. We had cell phones, right? 3G cell phones. There's no reception at the campsite. So when you're working there for a month, you just have no access to internet, period.
Right.
So you have to rely on the people you meet there and hang out with these people, do activities with them, you know, clean up the places so that all the campers have fun.
Right.
So then like a month of no internet and then going back home, your life is already used to without internet. And so I had much more fun, I think. You know, when I'm bored, I'll call my friend up.
For sure.
Instead of going on the internet, you know? So
for sure.
I think government should try out a different number of programs to see what works for the Koreans here.
Sure, and I also say this, it's also personal responsibility. The government can do whatever they want to do, right? But they can't force people
Everything's
to do.
a choice.
It's a choice. So even for myself, I sleep with my cell phone outside of the room.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Right, and recently I tried to, which has been super hard, not eat while watching YouTube or TV. Right?
I do that.
It's just like mindful eating.
Yeah.
Right? But then at the beginning it's super hard, but then you realize like you don't die if you don't touch your cell phone. You know,
sure.
like you're fine. Right? And then you realize that and then you feel better, like you're not so heavily reliant on this little machine that can fit in your hand, right?
Exactly, yeah. You're the boss, not the machine.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
you gotta take control of yourself.
Right.
All right, let's move on to maybe our last story.
It's our last one.
Private security guard services to high-risk stalking victims.
Wow.
So I guess the government, yes, Seoul government is stepping up efforts to combat stalking, and it's linked to violent crimes. So these high-risk victims will get 10 hours of private security each week, plus assistance in moving expenses. This follows a rise in stalking incidents, including last year's tragic case where a woman was fatally stabbed by her stalker in Shindang Station. There was another one as well in Busan too.
Right.
So with all that said, the government, I guess in Seoul, is providing private security guard services to high-risk victims.
I'll say this,
Yeah.
because no one ain't stalking me, so I'll just say this. This is a very beautiful band-aid solution. It's a band-aid solution. It doesn't go to the root of the problem. The only deterrent will be harder laws. And foreigners and Koreans say, like, the punishments in Korea,
It's too weak.
way too weak.
What did they get? Just fines or maybe possible like 3-year imprisonment?
Right, or probation or whatever. Like, if you know there is severe punishment for these types of crimes, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah. You have the consequences. It's like you're with a little baby or a little kid. You tell
That's
them,
true.
you know, if you drop a glass right now on the street, you'll never get to play outside.
Right. Something
That's
like
a
that.
big
right?
punishment for a kid. He'll never get to play outside, so he'll never drop that glass.
So I think that's the only way it's gonna curb, because it's getting all too common now.
Yeah.
Korea is a super safe place. Let's not take that away, but it does have its drawbacks every now and then, and this is one of them. So something to consider.
For sure.
All right.
Okay, so let's go over to our next part of the show.
All right, let's move on to our Waygook Post of the Week. So, Waygook Post of the Week. Today's topic is, what's something that Korea does better than your home country? This was posted on a social media website.
Okay.
And a lot of people chimed in, and there's a lot of commenters that chimed in also. David, can you get us started?
All right, so the first commenter said, from the American and Canadian perspective, public transportation, national health insurance, CCTV, and lost items return system, I suppose, is something that Korea does better than, you know, America and Canada. I would have to agree. What do you have to say?
I will say, let's break it down. Let's start with public transportation. It's not even a race. It's like Usain Bolt.
There's no competition.
There's no competition. Like, it's so ridiculous how well organized and well ran the public transportation.
They're
here.
all interconnected as well.
The public transportation 10 years ago when I came is probably still better than where Toronto, Canada is now.
Yeah, even probably all the other cities.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Even then.
When I tell my friends that we don't need Wi-Fi on the train, like we can use just normal cell phone and we have Wi-Fi. They're like, whoa, right? And I'm like, this is 10 years ago, right?
You have Wi-Fi in the subway too.
Subway, that's what I mean, on the subway, underground, right?
In buses too.
Right, in Canada.
Moving buses.
In Canada, if anyone from Toronto is watching, from like Warden Station to like VP, there's like a 30-second when you're kind of outside, and everyone pulls out their phones, sends messages, because they only got 30 seconds. Quick phone calls, everything, right?
Really?
It's like in Stone Ages.
Oh man,
right?
That's funny, yeah.
Right.
All right, what about healthcare?
Healthcare, I'll say this. My brother needed a procedure in Canada. This is Canada, this is not America. This is Canada. Free national healthcare. He had to see a doctor. He made an appointment. This was in August. The first available appointment was November. It's completely normal to wait months for a simple doctor's appointment. It's getting so bad that people are starting to pass away from treatable illnesses because they can't see a doctor.
Yeah.
And God forbid you live in a rural part of Canada where there are literally no doctors, right? It's a very bad situation. In Korea, man, I needed some procedures and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to wait weeks. She's like, is tomorrow okay? She's like, I'm so sorry, we can't do it today, but we can do it tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow's fine, right? And you know, that Bali system that we love and hate at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew how much it would cost for a foreigner without national health insurance here in Korea, so they can kind of compare. But when it comes to wait times, for sure, Korea is so much faster.
Right.
I remember I needed to get a MRI scan. I don't know how long it will take in Canada.
Back, right?
Yeah, it took me. Well, I got it done within the week.
Crazy.
Within the week, and they said it was busy. They're like, we're busy. I'm like, how busy? Well, you might have to wait 3 days. That's how busy Korea is when it comes to these busy schedules. Usually, you can get things done on the day of,
Right. And walking in, this is walking in.
Walk-in clinics in Korea is literally walk in, you get it done and done.
Right.
Hospitals too, it's like walk-in hospitals. But in Canada, I think they have the work-life balance is, the life balance is way over the scale. Like they just.
No, if you need a doctor's appointment, you're waiting a very long time. And you have to go to the emergency room, you're waiting like 4, 8, 12 hours, depending on what it is.
We've seen movies and people like walk in with like bleeding arms. They're like, I need to get my services. Sorry, you have to wait in line.
Right,
There's other people
in front of you. Right,
Yeah.
right. So, but yeah, and the CCTV, we already know about that. Like, and getting things back, and things not getting stolen. It's fantastic.
All right, let's move on to our second comment.
Okay.
Someone said fresh food. I thought this was kind of interesting because I thought fresh food is available pretty much any country you go to.
I think in Korea it's better just for the fact that it's normal for, especially like the ajumas and the older people, they go to the mart every day because they can walk there. Where in Canada and America, we're a driving society where we drive to the grocery store maybe once a week or bi-weekly. But they walk to the mart every day, so they're buying just for that day.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right? So the stores have to cater to people coming every day for fresh ingredients, right? So they focus on that. Where in America, they need things to survive, to last for the week or for the month.
I guess this has something to do with the logistics as well. Because Korea is a much smaller, geographically smaller country. You can have people, you will have marts in like, multiple marts in like a square kilometer of an area. Whereas in Canada, you have one mart in couple square kilometers of an area.
Right.
So everyone has to drive there and back, and you might as well just go to Costco and stock up. That's what Canadians do.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this though, buying fruits, so much more expensive in Korea.
Oh, fruits.
Oh man.
Fruits too. Same with steak.
Yeah, beef and
fruits.
And fruits, bro. I saw a watermelon for $50 the other day, man.
But you know, they taste good.
Yeah, but not $50 worth good,
Dude,
man.
I had watermelons in Canada. They taste like just water. They literally taste like water.
Okay, but $50 worth?
But the ones I paid were $30. They were really good. Maybe you got ripped off.
I wasn't buying it, so it wasn't gonna happen.
Okay. Yeah, but like mangoes, oranges, ridiculous here. Too expensive.
I couldn't find an apple mango here. Anyway, don't get me started.
All right, let's move on to our next one.
Okay.
Free water at every restaurant with no tipping.
This person has to be from Europe.
Europe?
Yeah, because some places in Europe, like in Netherlands, and they charge for water at the restaurants, and you gotta pay for the bathroom.
But I heard tipping is only an American culture, like a North American culture. But I guess this person was complaining because they
maybe this person traveled and said Korea and England and Europe. I don't know.
Okay, maybe a person got confused.
Right, but
yeah, Canada, Canada has a tipping culture for sure. But
terrible.
I don't remember if I had to pay for water.
Water's free.
Yeah.
Water in the bathroom is free, but so let's set it straight. In Canada and America, water is free, but you're tipping.
Yeah.
In parts of Europe, I don't think you have to tip.
Yeah.
But you're paying for the bathroom.
Yeah, bathroom. I heard.
And you're paying for water.
I've seen pictures and stuff and videos of people posting on social media where they had to pay for the bathroom, like 25 cents or $1 or something like that.
Right.
Yes.
In Korea, you're getting unlimited banchan. You're not paying any tips.
But I was thinking about paying to use the bathroom, kind of. I never thought it was a bad thing.
Really?
I thought it could be a good thing.
Why?
So people can be more, because sometimes the bathrooms are so dirty and so stinky.
Right.
Right? Because it's free, they just
Abuse
just
it?
piss everywhere.
Abuse it? Yeah.
Abuse it, there's water everywhere. There's
Right.
some people, wash their feet in the sink. Some people even wash their hair in the sink. I've seen that.
Right.
But if they have to pay for it.
What, are they gonna be cleaner because they have to pay for it?
Yeah, I think so. Like when you have to, so let's say you're getting free food, you might have extra food because it's free.
I see what you're saying, okay.
But if you have to pay for it, you're just gonna buy your own portion, right?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So if you have to pay for toilet paper, pay for bathrooms and stuff, like if it's like an ideal city that I could build,
Right.
I would definitely charge people to use my bathrooms.
I'll say this, Korean bathrooms, they're free, but you might need to bring your own toilet paper. All right, but it still happens every now and then where it's like, you gotta, bro, sometimes, no, honestly, it's embarrassing. Like, you gotta like, oh man, no toilet paper?
Yeah.
I gotta like sneak in the girls' bathroom real quick, make sure it's empty, because there's always some in there, right? So, yeah, you gotta be careful for that one.
All right, so very interesting comment. Next one, school-free lunch.
Love this in Korea.
So what do you have to say about this, school-free lunch?
Okay,
School-free, or no, free lunch at schools.
free lunch at schools.
Okay.
Right. So I worked in the elementary school system, and I asked, I'm like, how much do the students pay for lunch? They're like, it's free. And I'm like, that's amazing. Quick story, when I was in elementary school, grade 3, this was years ago, I never liked, you have to bring your own lunch. And I hate cold food. When I was young, I hated cold food. And there wasn't any microwaves. So even when my mom would make an amazing meal, I'm not eating cold oxtail and rice and peas, right? I'm not eating cold Jamaican food. My mom would write a note saying, Ade is allowed to go out for lunch from now to the end of the year. And my dad will give me $10 from Monday to Thursday and $5 on Friday. And I will go out for lunch. There's a McDonald's around the corner. And I would have to manage my money every day and buy lunch outside. Just because obviously there was no school lunch and there was no microwave. So that's what I had to do.
You had no microwave at school?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to ones with lots of microwaves.
Oh, your little snobby school in Ottawa might have had we didn't have no microwaves, man.
We had cafeterias too.
We didn't have a cafeteria in my elementary school.
Oh, okay.
We ate in the
Maybe
classroom.
it all depends on the neighborhood.
Right, I don't know. And then in high school, they had microwaves, but then you didn't want to bring a lunch or you forget to bring a lunch. And the food was terrible that they served there. And you had to pay for it. It was terrible. And I was an athlete. One teacher was actually worried about me. And she started making me lunch and bringing lunch to me, right? And then the other students started snitching on me. And then she's like, oh, I gotta stop because they're getting mad. I'm like, oh man. Yeah.
I know schools here, they give you free lunch now, but not all schools had free lunch until recently.
Oh, really?
Because I remember doing some news readings about this. They had free lunch for select schools, and then they started implementing more policy, more budget towards these schools so that all schools in Busan or Seoul could have free lunch. So this is actually really good for the kids, especially
100%.
Especially for kids in the lower income area.
Sure.
So yeah, I like that. Let's move on to our next bit of news.
So last one, I think.
Okay, I don't really get this comment. 24-hour beer, late night parties.
Oh, I get it.
I'm guessing like party all day long. Right?
24-hour beer. David, you're Canadian, right? Can you go buy a beer 3 in the morning?
3 in the morning?
Can you go buy a beer?
You can't. Everything closes at like 10 p.m.
Right. And
LCBO closes at 9:30 or 10 p.m.
But in Korea, you can buy beer anywhere. In America too, but in Canada, you have to buy beer and liquor at a certain government store.
So this is only for like Canada, really?
It's only for Canada. And the late night parties, we have last call.
Yeah, and then drinks are only served at like 2 a.m. or something like that.
That's last call, right?
Yeah.
But in Korea, you could be drinking till the moon comes up, till the sun comes up. Right.
Yeah. At the same time, in the North America, maybe in Europe as well, they have the house party culture.
Right.
Whereas Korea doesn't have a house party culture. It's
That
more
is
just
true.
an outside thing.
That is true.
So there's a
Right.
pros and cons to it. But yeah, 24-hour, convenience stores and access to that, I like that because you can go down and buy whatever you want in the middle of the night.
Why do foreigners always hang out at the CU? I've never done it. I've never like sat.
Oh, like the patios outside. Yeah. I heard. Yeah, a lot of expats here do that. Buy food.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but definitely not my style. But hey, I get it.
Yeah, when I'm out to drink or whatever, I would like to go to a nice place to drink. Not a nice, like fancy. It doesn't have to be, but I want to be in a venue where I can listen to music, chill.
You want to enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. If I'm gonna be drinking at a convenience store, I might as well just drink at home.
All right.
Okay,
and that is our Waygook Post of the week, and that concludes our show. So, did we miss something? Do you agree? Do you disagree? what is something that you think we should talk about on this show?
Yeah, what's something that you've experienced or you want to know about Busan, South Korea, Seoul, whatever? Let us know in the comments.
All right, thank you.